Welcome to the Making of Me podcast, where we explore the defining moments that shape extraordinary people into who they become. This is Sandra Coker, founder and CEO of Human Power Solutions, international best-selling author of People Profit. In 2019, 5 days before Christmas, Sandra was fired after 4 years of building up the owner's company. Devastating of poverty time betrayal becomes the unlikely catalyst for everything she has built since. Her career devoted to teaching leaders how to invest in and truly value the people who work with them. The exact opposite of what she experienced that December. It's really a pleasure and honor to have you on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sandra. So, Sandra, before the fire, who were you as an employee who would spend 4 years building up someone else's company? What did that investment and loyalty actually look like day to day?
Yeah, so day to day as an employee was, really working on building relationships with other people, getting the name of the company out there, and really being kind of the face of the company. So I spent, 40, 50, 60 hours a week between networking and selling. And then eventually I started delivering as well. So there was a lot to the company, and I was, really wanted to grow with it and was excited to be a part of it. And the first couple of years was really, really great. And, as we grew and got bigger, it just, the alignment changed, the relationship changed. So I saw the writing on the wall, but it was really unfortunate because I think for people, instead of kind of being a little, wary, or I don't even know what it is, but they should be celebrating when someone is really invested in their company and really out there, promoting it versus, kind of putting people down.
Yeah, that was really a whole lot. And having to kind of put your whole life into a business of someone, building it, making some necessary connections towards advancing the course, only to get fired at one point. It's really a whole lot and a whole lot of emotions attached to it too, not just the financial aspect. And also the timing right before the holiday or add a particular painful layer to that particular experience. What did those first Christmas after being fired actually look like for you?
That was, honestly, I was upset. I was angry. I as a business owner, I've had a few businesses. I have one now, and I do understand the reason behind it.
Yeah.
Tax purposes and things like that. So I understand the business reasons behind it. But given the relationship and given how hard we had worked together, it was a gut punch from our relationship. And it was very, very hurtful.
Yeah.
But I just was like, well, let's go. Let's do my own thing. So I built the website that Saturday and Sunday right after, and I incorporated it on Monday. So I was pretty mad.
Wow, that was really a whole lot of dedication. Imagine something you have not even thought of doing before. 5 days to Christmas, you're already been fired. That really fired you to say, okay, I think I have to just start something. Let me create a website. Let me do this other thing. It takes a whole lot of guts. And I'm just wondering what motivated that, owing to the pain was actually more like motivated. That's really a whole lot.
Well, I think for a lot of people though, is like, I had a family to support. I had, grandchildren, and I had, rent and all those other groceries and everything else. And, you really, I think for a lot of people can wallow in these kinds of things. I didn't have the luxury to wallow. I had responsibilities. So, a lot of people are like, oh, that took guts. Well, actually it was like, I was pissed, and I necessarily had to do something. Yeah. And I did have job offers. So I did have a couple of job offers, for partners that I'd worked with. And I just knew I didn't want to work for anyone else again. I didn't want to put my life in somebody else's hands again.
Oh, really a whole lot. So what was there a specific realization in the aftermath after how you were being treated, or how the leadership had operated that planted the seed of what would eventually become Human Power Solutions?
Well, the company I was working for was in this space. They did it very differently than what we do. I knew that the level of service and client experience could be better. So it made that's my background is hospitality. I really cared about people. I didn't have a big ego and I still don't. I just know that we were not delivering what the clients needed. We were delivering what we had. So Human Power Solution is really all about customizing and creating the learning and development plans that people need, not what I want, not what I think they need, but what they need, right? So that's kind of how things have kind of flipped around, and we're very client focused. We're not ego focused.
Yeah, this is really amazing. The fact that having to have that particular experience make you look down the way to see, what does customer really need? What does this company have to offer? Owing to the pain, some clarity was coming into it. So how long did it take before that painful experience transformed from raw hot into genuine clarity about the kind of leaders and company culture you wanted to build instead?
It took a little while because it was December of 2019 when I was fired. COVID hit March of 2020. Yeah. So there was a lot that was in there. And then in August of 2020, I lost my significant other. He passed away suddenly. So there was quite a bit kind of rolling around there. So I'd say we hit our groove like year 2.5 to 3, where it was really like, okay, I mean, I'm in year 7 now. So it took about, 2.5, 3 years to just kind of get my footing as to, what I wanted this company to be like. I got out of survival mode and, now I'm in build and create and, let's roll mode. So it's a lot more fun now than it was in the beginning. That's for sure.
Yeah, this is really a whole lot. I mean, just imagine, having to have about 2.5 out to 3 months before you get to kind of have your footing. That was really a lot of time. And I was wondering, what was the motivation before that 2-3 years, being that the clarity was not yet that very perfect and you were just figuring it out? I'm wondering, what was driving in that period? Was it the clarity or was it the hotfulness? You're like, I have to just make this work. I have to just figure out. And what was it like during that particular period? How were you able to rebuild yourself both professionally and personally? Immediately after the fire.
Never failed at anything. So a failure just wasn't an option for me. And, I knew the work that I was doing and I was delivering was really good. And then I just created a really good network, which I had, but I really created some really solid partnerships and really understood what we were delivering. So I think that was a huge thing for me. And that's really where the confidence started to come up. And for me personally, I have a strong belief in my ability to do the things that I need to do. And I've got kids and grandkids who look to me and they watch what I'm doing. And so there isn't an option of quitting and going to get a job. I'd be miserable. I would be absolutely miserable.
Yeah, this is amazing. I'm just wondering what your grandkid will look like. Yeah, mommy is strong. Mommy will figure it out. Just having to look that very well, you're like, mommy just have to be strong for them and find out what works. This is amazing. So founding Human Power Solution means essentially building the opposites of what you have experienced. What was the first principle or value had to be non-negotiable in your own company?
Really listening to the clients and not kind of over talking them. So I think the non-negotiable for me is a lot of times clients will say, they bring us in for one thing. And as we get to talking, we're like, the root of the problem is kind of here. So I think that's a non-negotiable for me is like hearing what they're having to say and then helping them think a little bit differently about maybe there's another issue. Maybe they're looking at the surface issue and not looking at the things that are underneath it all. So we really do pride ourselves. I pride myself in kind of digging in a little bit and helping them really discover and make transformational change. The one thing that we don't do is we don't do check the box training. So we don't do training. We really focus on professional development. So my tagline is, we train dogs, we train animals, but we develop people because people don't want to be trained. They want an investment in themselves and in learning and things like that. So we're very focused on not doing a check the box, we do this communications every single time or this leadership every single time. Every single company has a different personality. They have a different value structure. They have a different communication style. The whole thing is different. So we need to come in there with very.
Yeah, help people, improve them. You only train now. Yeah, you only train dogs and other animals. But what for people, you get to kind of improve them and make them better. This is really amazing. So writing people profit, that means turning that pay fund, firing it into a public lessons for others leaders out. How directly does this experience show up in the book's core message about investing in people?
I think the core message is, treating your frontline employees, the people that are the face of your company, whether it's someone standing at the counter or the person on the phone or the person out networking and selling for you, that those people are the faces of every single company.
Yeah.
The executive team, the management team are not the faces. So it's what can you do to help develop those people that are driving the reputation, that are building the relationships with the clients and the customers? How can we do that? And then also making sure that we have systems and processes that make the work and the job easier for those people. So there's kind of a twofold thing in there. And I think with my experience, the 4 years that I worked at that last company, we spent a couple of years kind of figuring out what our processes were and things like that. So, we were on the edge of what I thought would be something really cool when the rug was pulled out under me. And that just kind of stinks. So.
Yeah. Investing in people. This is amazing. So looking back, the woman who was fired 5 days before Christmas, after 4 years or loyal work, what do you want her to know about the CEO and the author she eventually becomes?
I want her to know that, and she knew that kind of walking into this. I want her to know that it was probably going to be the best thing that ever happened to her. And it was the best thing that ever happened to her.
Yeah.
Anytime there's pain and heartache, there's always something on the other side that is waiting for you. So that's what I would tell her.
This is a whole lot. I don't know whether I'm just wondering how she's going to more like receive it, being that was tough. 5 days to Christmas and emotion high, people looking up to you, grocery being paid, and it's a whole lot. And I think it's just getting to know that every of these particular things coming into being, there's an opportunity lying ahead, but you just have to follow through the uncertainty till you figure it out. This is
Absolutely.
amazing. So what is your philosophy on employees development, and how does it tie into your 5-level learning model for making training a strategic business driver?
Yeah, so my opinion and my experience has been that learning and development needs to sit outside of human resources. Human resources has a lot of responsibilities outside of trying to figure out what kind of development programs we're going to do. So I think it should be its own entity there. And I think there should be a culture of continuous learning throughout a company. So people always say, we don't have the budget. We like to look at the turnover numbers. We like to look at, the hiring numbers, all of that kind of thing. And you'll see that if you invest in people and you retain your teams and they get to innovate and grow and really work together and become a well-oiled machine, your profitability is going to go sky high. So that's what I would tell people is don't look at it as a cost center.
Yeah.
Look at it as an investment and watch your numbers go. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, this is amazing. Don't look at what you invested there. Just think about how the compound interest is going to be afterward, or into a whole lot of growth and a whole lot of differences that's going to come into being or into the training.
And I think also one last thing, like we talk about how employees are treated and what they are. And I think what I want a lot of leaders, and I talk about this all the time, is how people are treated inside a company and how they're treated, how all the things, the behaviors inside of a company actually translates when they go home. So if someone is treated poorly all day or they're under a lot of stress and burnout, when they get home, they're not engaging with their husband or wife or significant other. They're not playing with their kid. It's, it really does. It takes its toll on personal life. And I would love for more leaders to understand that.
Yeah. I think this is amazing. Leaders understand that at least will be grateful enough not kind of to treat everyone rightly, so that at the end of the day we'll have a sane society where the employees train their home very well, and at the end of the day the only kid that grew up without being loved by the whole lot of stuff. This is amazing. So what are the biggest pain points CEO and COO face when it comes to customizing training programs, and how do you address them?
I think the biggest pain point is time, is bringing people, out of work, out of the productive work to go into some sort of a program. That's, I think, the biggest key. I think most CEOs and COOs who understand the cost savings and the investment, like why it's worth it, I think that's all good. So we address the time factor by spreading things out. So we normally don't do full day of training or full day retreats and things like that. Like I always tell people, we're not a one-hit wonder. We're in for the long haul. And we will do programs over a long period of time. And it will be 90 minutes to 2 hours every other week. And so we'll give information and we'll give tools and things that they can try. And then they come back the next time, we're like, how did it go? Like, what worked? What didn't work? Okay, here's some more. And so really our philosophy is transformational level 5 learning, where we're not just one and done. We're a partner in the organization, and we partner with the L&D department. And if they don't have an L&D department, then we become an extension of that. Then we're a fractional chief learning department for them.
Yeah, this is amazing. Become a partner, being able to this is really, really amazing. Thank you so much with what you are doing. And also in your book, People Profit Out, what key strategy do you recommend for leaders to actually measure ROI on employees' development initiative?
I think most executives and most managers need to get away from their yes men or yes people, the people that are like, oh yeah, they don't challenge them. I think we've got to have our leaders really go to the front line and go to all the employees and create some one-on-one relationships with them. And it's not threatening, it's not people going over each other and blah, blah, blah. It really is just creating a culture of psychological safety, of openness, of transparency. And that from there, then they actually learn what the issues are. Then we can go ahead and say, okay, what changes do we need to make? Because we have the right data. A lot of times leaders are sitting and they're thinking about things. They're crunching numbers and looking at numerical data versus like the anecdotes, what's going on. And we can make better and informed decisions when we have conversations.
Yeah, we can have better decisions when you have a better conversations. And not just yes people all around, but having to kind of being able to question a whole lot of persons. And I think this is really lovely, being that almost every trainer is going to kind of bring a whole lot of results compared to just saying the yes and not putting in the work. And this is amazing. So how do your core value of fun, collaboration, and challenging the status quo shape the way you design the workplace and team building events for clients?
I think that we just don't go unconventional at all. We're just not. I mean, I love when I was doing a facilitation. I have a large project that I'm working on, and I'm doing this one because it's very near and dear to my heart. It's on client experience, and I really love that. And I get, the biggest compliment that I can get, or what any of our facilitators can get, would be, God, that was different than what we thought it was going to be. Because a lot of times people walk into a training, because that's what they're told they're going to, and they think, ugh, death by PowerPoint, someone's going to lecture at me. And we're just so workshop based. We're so, give me the realistic scenarios and we'll work on those. And it's just such a working session or in sessions that it's just so applicable to what they're doing. And that is the biggest thing that we do.
Yeah. Amazing. This really hard. The fact that it's not just convention, having to kind of get better results, but doing it in a different way. This is amazing. So lastly, looking ahead, how do you see innovative retreats and leadership development evolving? And what excites you the most about that future?
I think leadership development is really is exciting right now because we have so many different generations in the workplace. There are so many different levels of people, layers of people that communicate differently, that have different experiences. And I think that's a really great opportunity, especially to teach our young ones coming up, like certain things. But then us older ones can learn a lot from them too. So I think it's really kind of a cool thing. The thing that worries me, I think, is this fully remote environment. because that we're losing a lot of the mentorship and a lot of the coaching and things that can really help people. I know my younger son is fully remote. It's been a challenge.
Ooh,
You know,
yeah.
he loves his job. He's done really well, but he's lonely. It's really hard to try to grow your career that way. So that's one thing I worry about. So I think leadership really has to be more intentional about their fully remote workers and really making sure that they're connecting and, you know, getting those people to the next level.
Yeah, you just address it. I think this is amazing, being that the remote job has now become the norm of the day, and so every employees and companies have to find a structure of better communication, better in-person conversation. So whether having to between quarters and between sections, they could actually have a meetup where more like those mentorship come into being, because it could be so lonely just when you make reference of it. Imagine how trying out some couples of stuff without feedback. It's crazy.
Yeah.
This is really amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
So for my audience who would love to reach out or connect with you, get your book, either for the coaching or to get your book to how can they reach out, and where is the best platform?
The best platform is probably LinkedIn. It's Sandra Coker, just my first and last name. My book's on Amazon, People Profit. That's on Amazon, and we do work globally. So we have a robust virtual, platform that we use, and so yeah, they can reach out to me with any questions that they have. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Sandra. So definitely for my audience who would love to reach out, check the show notes and you see the link to our LinkedIn. Yeah, thank you so much for showing us that even the most painful professional betrayer, being let go 5 days before Christmas, after years of dedication, can become the exact foundation for building something better for other people, or from an employees who gave 4 years to a company that discarded her without care, to a CEO teaching leaders how to genuinely value the people who build their success. Yeah, prove that our worst professional moments can become our clearest calling. It's really a pleasure and honor having you on the show.
It was a pleasure being here. Thanks so much for having me.